now let's move on to our Pittsburgh Steelers, our beloved Steelers. Yep. They come in. They got rid of Big Ben. The weekend of Bernie situation is over. They're no longer holding up his limp body to play quarterback for them. They bring in Mitch Trubisky. They draft the first quarterback in the draft taken, Kenny Pickett. This was a major year for the Steelers in terms of offseason. They made a lot of changes, and not only that, we have a lot of guys on this roster offensively, and guys like Deontay Johnson, Claypool, who are looking at extensions, looking at sort of what's going to happen next roster-wise. I enjoyed what the Steelers sort of brought in this year's draft in terms of offensive talent, but I think that I don't know what to make of this team as we're looking at them coming in. So what are your thoughts on the Steelers coming into the season?
I think it's going to be, obviously front and center is the quarterback situation. Like, how does Pickett do? How does he do, in training camp? How does he do in preseason? And it's one of those situations. We've seen it on other teams. We've been thankful enough as Steeler fans to not really have to worry about that position in a long time, but we knew that day was coming. And it seems like any starter, if they don't start him, has that short leash. In my opinion, I say you sit him behind. I mean, Trubisky, he's not the greatest quarterback, but he hasn't been in a system, in an organization that is, helped him in any matters. You know what I mean? So I could see him potentially coming in. Maybe he wins a couple of games. But either way, I almost think that, a young talent needs kind of some grooming time. You get thrown in to the Wolves right out the gate, and then you have, no success. Then you're already, You're just going to sit on the bench as the first-round pick, potentially get traded, and just get shuffled out, maybe play in the XFL or whatever they have going on. But, yeah, I don't know. That's one thing, too, but you have to also kind of keep in consideration the Steelers' defense usually accounts for like 55 to 60% of their win total, and it is very heavily relied on that, which I personally love. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with Pittsburgh is the defense. But, I mean, if they can string together a little bit of some offense, that's going to be some extra wins,
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, I look at this team. I'm actually relatively high on Trubisky as being a fun quarterback this year. I don't know how much that's going to translate to them actually winning games because this is a team that also has a pretty tough schedule. I mean, nothing's going to beat last year's schedule in terms of it was just brutal down the stretch. But this is a team that made the playoffs. And just if you look at quarterbacks who come into the league onto playoff teams, the history of those quarterbacks is really great. Like, just by virtue of coming onto a team in Pickett that already was a playoff caliber roster last year, he's in a much better position than so many other of these rookies we see come into the league. So what I think may happen with this team is I think it could be ugly offensively early in the year. I think there could be some flashes from Trubisky, but I actually think that whether it's Pickett or Trubisky down the stretch, I think they're going to be a tough out to end the season. I think they may end up competing for one of those wild card spots, but the only problem is that this AFC is so loaded talent-wise that it's easy to just see them having a fun season where it ultimately doesn't come together as a playoff season. So I don't like them to make the playoffs per se, but I think this Steelers team is going to end up being relatively fun. And I think they're going to have a real fun infusion of talent just in terms of youthfulness at the quarterback position because, man, for as much young talent as we've had in the receiver room and the running back room in the last 2 years, Big Ben has been an abomination to watch.
It's been tough.
I'm excited to see, even if I know that these guys aren't going to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Ben, but at this point, I can't imagine a world in which Trubisky and Pickett combined are worse than what we've seen, especially to end last year with Ben.
Yeah, it was tough to watch, and I agree with you there. And the good thing is we have Mike Tomlin, who has never gone under 500. So, I mean, he's not going to allow, and I think it's like even an NFL rule at this point that Tomlin can't go under 500. So, I mean, you have to love that. And I don't know what you saw for the over-under, but I saw 7.5.
That's what I saw as well. 7.5 was my projected over-under, and I don't see a world in which they're going under this, to be honest with you. I believe in Tomlin. This guy won 8 games with Doug Hodges.
Yeah, I agree with you because it's plus 105. Plus, it's our team in the over. I'm definitely going to throw some action on it. I see them. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would go 8-1. All right, which gets them over 500 and keeps the Tomlin streak alive. And in my predictions, gets them over Cleveland in third in the division.